A significant change in our weather is on the way, and it may bring one of the more unusual weather patterns we have observed so far this season. Following several winter storms that brought feet of snow across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast over the past 7 days, the pattern is preparing to shift once more, and this next phase appears to be quite different. Several storm systems are expected to follow a rare trajectory. Over the next 7 days, this will draw colder air farther south into the central and eastern United States, setting the stage for a much more uncommon stretch of weather. Instead of a single, large winter storm, we will be monitoring a series of smaller disturbances that will affect the Great Plains, the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Southeast. As these systems interact with pockets of warm and moist air, we could see a notable mix of conditions, including the potential for some severe weather with a risk of tornadoes, along with the possibility of some uncommon early-season snow in parts of Tennessee and even portions of the Mid-South. And the farther north you are located, the colder and more persistent this weather pattern is going to feel. Temperatures are forecast to be 10 to 20 degrees below normal. This will affect a very large area of the northern and eastern United States, and successive waves of colder air will make it feel like winter is here to stay for a while. Multiple rounds of scattered snow showers, freezing rain, and even lake-effect snow could create slick road conditions and rapidly changing weather, which is enough to cause travel concerns well into next week. So, in our forecast today, we are going to explain precisely what you ought to know about this major change our weather is about to undergo. Now, one of the most important factors in the weather pattern developing over the next 7 days is the jet stream, as it is going to shift in a way we have not seen in the last several weeks. So, let us discuss that in more detail. This is how the jet stream appears at the moment. We have a low-pressure system that is currently situated over the Rocky Mountains. This system is going to deliver some very heavy mountain snowfall over the next 48 hours across Colorado, which also includes the Denver area, where we could see more than 12 inches of snow in some locations. So, a significant winter weather event is developing there. Otherwise, our jet stream right now is very zonal, meaning west to east, for most of the lower 48 states. But I do want to point out, we do have a very significant dip in our jet stream farther north over Canada. This is our polar jet stream, and it is going to dive to the south as we head into tomorrow, bringing the coldest weather we have experienced so far this season to parts of the Midwest. In fact, we are anticipating temperatures to fall by as much as 40 degrees below average, which will likely break records across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley on Thursday and Friday. Some communities could experience record-breaking low temperatures that fall into the negative digits in some places, which is truly remarkable, even for the beginning of December. Now, as we move into Friday and Saturday, our jet stream is going to become much more zonal, which you might think would mean calmer weather, because typically, a more zonal flow does indicate a quieter weather pattern. But that is not necessarily the case this time. We are actually going to have a great deal of moisture moving in from the Gulf, which will at least contribute to heavy rainfall and some isolated severe weather for the Gulf Coast states and the Southeast. On the other hand, our jet stream is dipping just enough up in Canada to allow for a couple of what we call Alberta clippers. These systems typically bring snowfall this time of year. Therefore, I would expect at least a few chances for snow this weekend, and into next week across the northern part of the United States. And you can see how our jet stream will continue to originate from the northwest. This orientation is really going to help keep conditions below average for a large portion of the United States. We will see multiple shots of cold air, which means multiple cold fronts will be moving through, and with those cold fronts, we could see the potential for some snow, severe weather, and heavy rainfall. So, there are many possibilities on the table, which means that the weather will remain quite active here over the next couple of weeks. Even though we are not discussing a single major winter storm like the ones we saw over the last few days, the weather is still going to be active, with several opportunities for snow, severe weather, and heavy rainfall. Now, over the next few days, we are going to experience a very strong push of Arctic air across much of the United States. So, as we go into tonight and tomorrow, notice just how cold it is going to become across the northern plains and the Midwest. We will have temperatures running as much as 40 degrees below average. Record-breaking low temperatures will be set in many areas tonight. Looking at tomorrow morning, we are talking about a widespread area in the Midwest, including Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Illinois, with temperatures as much as 45 degrees below average. You will certainly need a good winter jacket. We could have some sub-zero temperatures in some areas as well. The wind chills are also not going to be pleasant, as very strong northerly winds will be in place across much of the Midwest. A very strong cold front is going to make its way through the Ohio Valley as well on Thursday, which will continue to keep things very cold. Even for Thursday afternoon, a broad area from Texas back into the Northeast will be contending, with temperatures as much as 25 degrees below average. By Friday evening, we are still looking at very chilly air all across the Great Lakes, the Northeast, and all along the East Coast. That cold air is essentially going to stop, however, once it reaches Florida. By Friday afternoon and evening, that cold air will have made its way all the way down into Georgia, Alabama, and Louisiana. But take a look at Florida. It is still expected to be 10 to 20 degrees above average for this time of the year, which is also approaching record-breaking territory for those areas. But by the latter part of the weekend, that cold front will begin to ease into parts of central Florida. So, the cold air will eventually arrive, but it will not be very intense by the time it gets there. And then, the entire Northeast is essentially going to be covered in well below average temperatures to begin next week, which is certainly not welcome news if you are not a fan of winter. It is going to be quite chilly to start the work week. And then by the middle and end of next week, we could be talking about some very warm air making its way into the Great Plains, the Rockies, and all along the West Coast, with very little relief in sight, at least for the end of next week. But again, things can still change, as that is about 7 days from now. But overall, the weather looks to be quite chilly for the next 7 days for most of the lower 48 states. And folks, I truly mean it when I say this. It is going to be exceptionally cold Thursday morning across much of the Midwest. These are the actual low temperatures, not the wind chills. This is not factoring in wind or what it feels like whatsoever. We are talking about a large area in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Illinois, with temperatures as low as 20 degrees below zero. A very brief but powerful shot of cold air is going to make conditions quite dangerous on Thursday morning. And then by Thursday afternoon, temperatures will struggle to get out of the single digits for most of these areas, including Des Moines, Chicago, back through Madison, and also Minneapolis. Then, by Friday morning, we will have below zero temperatures in parts of Indiana, including Fort Wayne, and over near Cleveland by Lake Erie. I mean, this is just going to be genuinely frigid weather, even on Friday. And then on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, that cold air is going to linger. It is not going anywhere. It is just going to remain very, very cold across these areas. Then by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, conditions will start to improve across the Midwest and the Northeast, but it is still going to be very cold for at least the next 5 days. And currently for Thursday morning, we are expecting at least 10 different record-breaking low temperatures to be set across the Midwest, including areas near Des Moines, all the way through central Wisconsin, near Wausau, and even near Kansas City, where it is only going to be 5 degrees on Thursday morning. And on Thursday afternoon, record-breaking low maximum temperatures, meaning very cold high. Temperatures are expected to occur across the Great Lakes and back into the Central Plains. Then, by Friday morning, we will be dealing with nearly 24 record-breaking low temperatures from the Northeast all the way back through the Great Lakes, including areas north of St. Louis and near Chicago, where it's going to be a large goose egg, 0 degrees, and then also back through Ohio, where temperatures will only be in the single digits. Now, shifting our focus to snow and rain, we are expecting some moderate to heavy snowfall across parts of Colorado, New Mexico, and even Arizona today. That is beneath a high-pressure system that will bring all of that Arctic air tonight. Some snow showers are possible tonight into early tomorrow for parts of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and the Northeast. We are not expecting much in the way of accumulation, though. As we go into Thursday night and Friday, some heavy rainfall and even some isolated severe weather will be possible right along the Gulf Coast, just underneath that high-pressure system, where we might see an isolated tornado risk develop back over in far southern Mississippi and Alabama. On Friday afternoon and evening, a little bit of snow is possible in parts of Virginia and even North Carolina, but that will be primarily in the Appalachian Mountains. Then on the weekend, we are expecting rain to continue across the southeast. It is going to be a rather active weather pattern. Showers and thunderstorms will continue through Sunday and Monday. Some snow is going to be possible in the northern plains and the Midwest. So, a quick, brief shot of light snowfall, but again, not much accumulation is expected there. The GFS model has been suggesting that some snow could even carry into Monday across parts of North Carolina and Virginia. So, that may be a trend to keep an eye on. And then by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, things become a bit more uncertain, but we will likely have at least a few of those Alberta clippers making their way across the northern plains, the Midwest, and the Northeast, with some moderate to heavy snowfall being a possibility. Exactly how much snow accumulates and where we see that snow is all still to be determined right now, since it is over a week away. But this is definitely a weather pattern that we need to watch closely because by the middle and end of next week, we could get several rounds of snowfall and perhaps even some isolated severe weather in the United States. And if you are in Colorado, we are anticipating our biggest snowfall event so far of the winter season. We're expecting around 4 to 6 inches of snow anywhere from Pueblo back through Denver, where we could even have 6 to 7 inches in the Denver, Colorado area. And then in the higher elevations, a widespread 7 to 12 inches of snow is in the forecast. The higher elevations of southern Colorado could see up to 2 feet of snow, so a major snowfall event is on its way. For those of you who are skiers, this is certainly very good news. And with the holiday season approaching quickly, if you are in need of stocking stuffers or Christmas presents, shopmaxvelocity.net is a wonderful place to look. I am also pleased to share that we have several new collections available, which include our Supercell and Cheeseker merchandise, along with many other items. You can find the link at the very top of the description below. As a helpful reminder, please place your order before December 10th to ensure it arrives in time for the holiday.